What's up YouTube, Capital G here, got some Phantom Knight duels for you guys to check out. This is actually a little bit of a new school meets old school build of Phantom Knights. It is new school because it does use a card from Dark Neostorm, so we're not going to have this build legal in the TCG for at least a few more months. But this build is also one that does not rely on the very powerful Azathoth play. Azathoth is obviously a hot button topic right now in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. And I kind of feel like these duels demonstrate why probably Rusty Bardiche should not be banned, but rather the kind of random banning of the Phantom Knight launch, the rank up card, because that's the card that you're going to consistently see summon, the King Kali Yuga for DDDs and, True King of all calamities and all that good stuff in Orcus. But I feel like if you just take away that card, you can still have decks like this exist. And you guys will see what I mean by, I'm not necessarily sure that, Phantom Knight should lose Rusty Bardiche just because of those combos, especially when Phantom Knight still, if they keep Bardiche, would still be able to do this type of play. And I like this because I haven't seen a PK player do this in a very long time, talking about maybe 2016 or so. It's been a little bit, it's been probably, maybe 2.5, 3 years since I've seen players basically just have like one PK monster on the field and then like 5 back row, whole bunch of PK traps and spells and just kind of saying, come at me, bro. And I like this. So he has the back row super fortified, but, obviously the Endymion deck is going to try to push through. He's playing Magical Exemplar just to get even more spell counters, which is just kind of unnecessary. Using the Heavy Storm Duster. Now, Endymion can protect itself. He also has Power of the Guardian, which gives him a nice little bit of protection for his Magical Exemplar, so he'll have to figure out a way to basically pop that. And Endymion nukes almost his entire board. He only gets one card left. So yeah, Endymion is incredibly powerful as a card. You can summon it. You can pop like 3-4 cards on your opponent's side of the field. Usually they're not going to be able to recover. However, we know PKs can activate in the graveyard. You can banish the traps to summon the monsters, and he's not in that bad a position. Now, getting this level 3 or getting the, I think it might have been Ancient Cloak. I'm not sure if that was Boots or, yeah, that's Ancient Cloak. Getting the level 3 top deck was amazing because, PKs, when they get the Break Sword, they can make so much advantage off of it, even when the opponent does have protection. For instance, right here, he is going to try to pop the Magical Exemplar, but Power of the Guardians is actually going to protect it by, removing a spell counter. I think he probably just didn't know about that. It's fine because he gets his monsters back, uses Breakthrough Skill, and Endymion says, I'm going to negate that by bouncing the Power of the Guardians, but that's what he wanted. He's going to go for Dark Rebellion Exceed Dragon since he did summon it to Bardiche's Link Point. He gets to pop a monster. Dark Rebellion Exceed Dragon almost certainly, actually, you know what? I think he isn't going to even activate it. He's going to bring back the Break Sword, and then he's going to go into the Supreme King Dark Rebellion, and that's an OTK. Would you believe that? Because I believe that the Dark Rebellion actually makes your opponent's monster 0. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a card that, like, it's one of those cards that not that many decks in Yu-Gi-Oh can actually make. I mean, like, PKs can make it, Pendulum Editions can actually make it, but it's a card that if you summon, it's kind of like Boros Sword Dragon. I think Pendulum Edition players should still play this because it literally, if you have a couple of the monsters, like, you're almost always OTK because you just do so much damage. Anyway, second duel is against another pendulum type deck. I mean, Endymion's, you might as well just consider them a pendulum deck because they do have a lot of pendulums. Anyways, he had that Psychic Weed Dealer. Then he goes into, I believe it was Cherubini. Cherubini will be the one card that you do need from Dark Neostorm to play this deck. And really, this deck is, I mean, PKs are just kind of inherently going to look similar somewhat to Burning Abyss. It's kind of like if you were playing Burning Abyss with the spells and traps instead of Sekka. You see that he's playing, Edge Sabers, that's he's playing Burning Abyss, and the rest of the deck's just going to be tons of level 3 monsters, as all the best PKs are. Anyways, Pendulum Summon. And he got the, he has the Apex Avian, which gives him a negation, so it's not bad. He has to pick and choose because if you summon Apex Avian into 4 back row, I don't kind of fault you if you don't negate the first card that your opponent just throws at you because you don't know what else they're going to have, especially if you just say, all right, well, I know you have a Fog Blade, but he's going to go into battle phase and he's going to use Sword to try to keep his PK alive. He is going to negate that with Apex Avian, which is fine, but he does not actually end up taking down the Rusty Bardiche. And that's a problem because in PKs, as opposed to all the other decks that play it, they will resolve it. Well, actually, I'm trolling. He did kill it. My bad. But I was going to say they will be able to resolve it multiple times. You can see he gets another Fog Blade. Now a couple of threes on the field, he's able to activate Rusty Bardiche effect again and go for Break Sword. He cannot pop these pendulums, like he can't target them with card destruction right now, so that's why he's going after the Sky Iris. I would imagine that would be the main reason. Anyways, Break Sword is going to now start popping the pendulum scale since Sky Iris is not on the field, and even though his opponent should get a draw from Electromite, if you can just kill them, I'm not sure that that's going to matter. Going to use that Dark Rebellion Exceed Dragon and probably go for Dark Requiem. Yeah, he's using, man, he is literally using all the Dark Rebellion forms in these duels. That's something I also just noticed. Now his opponent, if he does get a pendulum scale, could be back in this duel because he has monsters in the extra deck, and then he has double Apex Avian, so it could be spicy, but no, Dark Rebellion or Dark Requiem is just gonna say nope. Summons Dark Rebellion as well. And then at this point, this was just nuts, right? He uses the Phantom Knight sword in the graveyard, and during his opponent's end phase, he summons his own Break Sword back, which is going to trigger his Rusty Bardiche. So even though his opponent had a 0 attack monster, which obviously is not going to stop any damage, he's like, Cap, I just want the swag points. I want this guy to know he had no shot in this duel, and that is another quick victory. So let's pause for one quick second and check out the PKs. So this is what the deck looks like on paper. As you guys probably guessed, just about every monster in this deck is actually going to be level 3. Psychic Wheeler is obviously super awesome in here. I guess if you wanted to alter the extra deck even a little bit, you could possibly run some tuners in here. Some Salamangreat players do run things like Brionac. I've heard some super outside the box stuff with like Trishula. I wouldn't necessarily go for Trishula, but Brionac can be a card that you're going for. I really like with the instant fusion running the Thousand Eyes Restrict, not just the Flame Ghost. Flame Ghost obviously just being a level 3 for your Exceed plays, but then you know, Thousand Eyes Restrict is still a 1 card out to a lot of big boss monsters. If your opponent even has a monster that has negation and you've already got that negation out of the way, being able to instant fusion your way, take their monster, and then go into Linkuriboh can be really legitimate. I do like not just a lot of the traps because, you know, this deck is predicated on the PK traps and being able to get them to the field with your Rusty Bardiche, but then also running the value cards. You guys know I like Breakthrough Skill and Lost Win. Cards that can activate twice. I mean, yeah, it sucks when you get, you know, hit with a Denko Sekko or when you get wrecked by a Red Reboot, but, you know, sometimes those be the breaks. I'm not exactly sure what the solution is because it's interesting that this build only has 1 Rusty Bardiche, but I guess when you can summon it back off like every single trap card, it's not really that big of a deal. When I say the solution, I don't know between Rusty Bardiche and you know, the PK launch rank up, because if they do lose this card, if it gets like banned, then you know, you obviously are just not going to be able to summon a lot of these like really big Exceed monsters. Like I don't think that you'll be able to really drop Dark Requiem, but you know, I guess sometimes you just gotta pay the price for your cards being exploited in other archetypes. Ask Brilliant Fusion. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the short duels. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.